A husband bought a diamond ring for his famous wife for $35,000. Years later, the ring sold at auction for $12,008,400. The auction price was what percent of the original price? Now, even though this is a word problem and it is not as simply stated as the problems we've done earlier, it's still solvable using our basic formula, percent times base is equal to amount. The solution is a little more subtle though, because you have to think more about what each thing is. Obviously, they're asking what percent, so it's pretty clear that in this problem, the percent is what you're looking for. But now what about the base? There's no of. But you have to think of it this way, and again, I said it's a little more subtle. The base is really what you start with. If you start with the base of something and then you do a percentage of that. So the base is the starting price, if you want to call it that, of the diamond ring. So the diamond ring originally sold for $35,000. So that's what we consider the base. It's the starting value. The base is the starting, what it originated at. And it ended up being $12,008,400. So it's a little more subtle, but once you get the idea that the base is what you start out with, it's pretty easy to see that the base is 35,000. So that means that the percent is going to be what you get when you divide both sides by 35,000. So the percent is 12,008,400 divided by 35,000. So you're going to do in your calculator 1,200,8400 divided by 3500 equal. And when you do that, you end up with 343.097. Now that's a decimal. When you divide the amount by the base, you end up with a decimal. You still have to change it into a percent. You're used to seeing, in a lot of cases, a percent being a number smaller than 1, and it sort of clicks in your mind that you need to move the decimal 2 places to the right to change it to percent. But even though this number is already bigger than 1, in fact much bigger than 1, this is still a decimal. When you divide the amount by the base, you get a decimal. So to change it to a percent, you still have to move the decimal point 2 places to the right. So you end up with 34,309.7%. The problem, even though I didn't write it here, actually asked for this answer to be to the nearest percent. You have to be very careful when you're reading these problems, and I didn't write it here, so there was no way you could have read it here, but in the actual textbook problems or on your problem set, it will be very specific about how to round it. It says to round it to the nearest percent, so to the nearest percent, that would be 34,310%. So that auction price of a little over $12 million represents over a 34,000% increase in price over those years.